Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to do another Phalaenopsis video. We just did a phal video of repotting one, but now we are going to talk about when accidents happen. What happens when you break the spike? It happens to everybody. Every once in a while, it's going to happen. The more orchids you have, the more orchids you deal with. The longer you keep orchids, this eventually is going to happen to you, and it sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. This was going to be beautiful Phalaenopsis orchid, and I just leaned in wrong. And when they're fresh, like quickly growing spikes, they're almost like asparagus. I'd say they snap really easily, and that is exactly what happened here. It's very, very frustrating, but there's nothing you can do other than move on. So there's a few steps you can take to get this guy to hopefully bloom on this same spike here. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to trim this one off, and we're going to stake this properly, because if it was staked properly in the first place, it probably wouldn't have happened. I would have leaned over and bumped the stake instead of actually like bending the whole plant. So why don't I get the camera and we will go down to the table and we will look at how we can remedy this broken spike here and hopefully still get it to bloom. It's not going to bloom this winter, but hopefully we can get it to bloom next spring. So let's do that. Okay, let's gently put this guy down and see what we are working with here. This is one that's bloomed for me many times before. I can see 3 old spikes on it that I cut off when they're done, but they still sort of remain as a stub for a long time. I can see at one point I had this one staked with a red zip tie, but yeah, so there it is. Happens to everybody. So the best I can hope for on this guy is having it bloom out of one of the dormant nodes here. So that is what these things are here. That's a dormant node. So I am going to, I don't want it to go down too far. You don't want to be like cutting it off down here to have like a stubby little thing. I want to keep about as much stem as I possibly can. So it's a tough call. It broke at a node. This looks like it may be a node, maybe in between. No, it's definitely, it broke at a node here. So that node is going to be no good. I would want to cut it at least at this one. This node's facing away from us. This node is facing towards us, which is why they look a little bit different. There's no real difference there. I'm going to try for this one here, just because if anything has gotten down this stem here, any kind of bacteria, anything like that, that will hopefully prevent it from spreading any further down, because this is just an open wound that's been in the greenhouse for a couple days. So the plant itself looks quite nice, beautiful leaves. Most of my phals hang, so they droop down. It allows water to wick off the leaves very nice and easily, but also if they're not staked, it allows these spikes to stick basically straight out on me. So that's unfortunately why this thing got broken. What I did ahead of time was I sterilized some scissors. I used some rubbing alcohol at 70% and sprayed it on there and let them sit for a while, then cleaned them off. So now we are going to do the cut. Stems, when they're fast growing, they're very brittle, but at this point, it's been a few days, they're tougher than you think. So be prepared for a good cut here. And it takes a bit to get that off. Now, that's what we're working with here. And when we're all said and done, where'd it go? There we go. When we're all said and done, we're going to stake this guy as well, so this doesn't happen again. But that's what we're looking at. So that is now an open wound again. I hate having open cuts on my plants. So I have cinnamon in the greenhouse, plain old cinnamon spice that you would bake with. And I am taking a pinch in my fingers right now. We are really zoomed in, but my fingers are right here. And in there is a pinch of cinnamon. But it's not going to focus on my little pinch. Now it's not going to focus on anything. You're just going to have to take my word for it that blur, oh, there it was, that blur is cinnamon. So let's go back to our plant. Hopefully I'll refocus on that now. And you don't have to do this, but I find it definitely does not hurt. Come on, focus again. My mistake for trying to see too much. There we go. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to not only sprinkle it on the top, but once it is sprinkled on the top like that, I am going to push it in just like so. And cinnamon is a great antifungus. Bacteria hates it. If you have any kind of black rot growing on in your orchids, cinnamon sometimes is enough as just an organic cure for it. So I use cinnamon from time to time. This little container here I filled up with a bigger container, and I've never used it all. It's just been a few pinches here and there, but comes in really handy. So why don't we look for a stake now, and we're going to stake this orchid, because that's what we're working with. Okay, we're back. You didn't even miss me here. So I went out to my yard. I am lucky because my yard has lots of little bits of bamboo growing in it. So I just grabbed a piece of bamboo skewer. These little ones are absolutely good for nothing in the garden, but they make wonderful skewers. So I even left a couple leaves on for aesthetics purposes. Now, I've tried this before, and unfortunately the leaves only last for like a week or so on the bamboo because it is now a dead cane. But things we want to make sure we do with this bamboo cane is I'm going to try my best to cut it on an angle so it's sharp. The reason I want it sharp is not so that it can poke into anything, but just the opposite. It's going to hopefully slide past any roots that it may try to come in contact with. Now, if you don't have bamboo, obviously you could buy some bamboo for it. You could use just one of those orchid stakes that are made of metal. I tend not to like those very much, but that's just personal preference. And so I'm going to slide this guy in the pot. Now you can see I'm sliding it about an inch away from the edge of the pot. If you watched my last video, I was repotting a Phalaenopsis. We have some cinnamon on this one. And I mentioned as I was repotting it that the orchid roots like to find the edge of the pot and run around them. And it was a perfect example of that in the last video I did of repotting a phal. And so we don't want to slide it down the edge because that is where all the roots are going to be and you're going to smash through them all. The roots are not really in the middle at all. So I was able to do that quite easily. And I like to use these little tiny zip ties. Here we call them zap straps, and I like to do them. Some people use orchid clips. I have those kicking around too, and this thing is way too big, but that's what happens when you grab it in the yard. So I like to use these, and then I will trim them down so they're not so the ends are gone, and then they basically become invisible. And you can snug them down with time too, so that the orchid doesn't slip. Come on, there we go. Other things you can use, I have like kicking around here, are these little orchid clips. So you can clip it like that, but it's really whatever you want to do. Just as long as it's not going to move. So I am pretty confident that this plant is going to send out a new spike right around here, or down here a little bit, right on one of those top two. It's not going to get tall, like I left one too many nodes on this bamboo here, so it's not going to get tall. It's going to kind of come out sideways. It's not going to look quite as nice, but at least we should get some blooms with it anyways. So I am going to cut this, see if I can cut it with my scissors. Bamboo is incredibly tough, so there we go. The stake will match the size of the spike for now, and yeah, I think it looks good. Why don't I lift the camera out, and we are going to just take a look at it. Okay, I thought it just easier to turn the camera around and keep the camera still in the tripod. So here we go. Here is our newly staked broken spike Phalaenopsis orchid with a little bamboo leaf for some added aesthetics for now. Like I say, it looks good, but it's only going to last about a week like that. And then honestly what I'll do is I'll cut the leaf off once it starts to look a little bit raggedy. They just go like a golden yellow and then dry out. So yeah, I would expect to see a new spike starting on this hopefully by Christmas. You're just going to see the little nodule start to extend, and then it will kind of come out sideways, and it won't be, as I say, nearly as nice. But that is how you stake a Phalaenopsis orchid. That is how you restake a Phalaenopsis orchid that has a broken spike on it. And yeah, that's how you can even use that once your phal has bloomed. You can use this method to get another bloom out of the same spike, because it will stimulate new growth when you make that cut, and you might get another bloom out of it, 2 blooms in 1 year, instead of having to wait for a whole new spike to grow. So you never know. Anyways, I hope you liked this video, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye guys.